The people of Georgia. We'll give you a microphone. Folks, Georgia was 100 days ago today when I was inaugurated on the steps of the United States Capitol to be your president. And I was looking forward to coming back and seeing these guys.
Maybe you should have gotten us the $2,000 checks out the door day one like you promised, Joe, when Ossoff and Warnock got into the Senate. Remember that? Maybe that's why they're not so happy to see you. Well, guys, Georgia delivers Trump's fourth indictment. But do they like Joe Biden still? Well, they don't. I find that kind of funny. Something very ironic, isn't it, guys? Not as funny as the border, though, guys.
Disaster at the border funny? Kamala Harris apparently thinks so. The vice president being ripped for this tone-deaf reaction to the growing crisis.
Do you plan to visit the border?
Not today. But I have before, and I'm sure I will again.
I wonder if the vice president thinks this is funny. After blocking the media for weeks, the Biden administration was forced to release some new video that shows crowded migrant facilities. But that's only after the media shamed them into doing it.
Right now, we have no access to or photos of the conditions in the facilities.
Even the Trump administration let reporters in on, supervised tours.
The Biden administration kept talking about transparency, and we're not getting any transparency here.
Blocking access to the news media is not leveling with the American people, Mr. President.
Kennedy, I think the Kamala Harris hysterical laughing fit, and she does this a lot, is a coping mechanism. It's a defense mechanism. She's uncomfortable with the question or the reality of what she's being confronted by. So in order to soothe herself and cope, she just erupts in this ridiculously timed, inappropriate laughter. And it's striking how odd it is.
Yeah, coping mechanism, guys. Laughter. I don't know. I think the best way to cope with things is to be free-thinking, innovative, and open-minded. This is the Tommy Nation Politics Tuesday live stream. Tommy Nation Politics.
Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today?
Tommy Nation Politics. Hi guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. New, independent, progressive media. Free-thinking, innovative, and open-minded. Thank you for joining us on the Tommy Nation Politics Tuesday live stream. We have every Tuesday, usually with my co-host Jamar Jabari, but he's a working class guy, and he's a working. But I have to tell you guys, here we have a nice guest for us. He's already told me some very interesting things, and we're going to have a very interesting conversation today. He was recently retired from the United States Border Patrol after a 24-year career as a deputy patrol agent in charge. His name is J.J. Carrell, and he supervised an ATV unit on the San Diego-Tijuana border during some of the most violent times in recent border history. He created the most successful maritime, narcotic, and human smuggling unit in the Border Patrol. 5 years as the supervisor of this unit, called the Coastal Border Enforcement Team, CBET. His unit arrested and seized numerous Sinaloa Cartel narcotic loads, and one of his agents testified against and helped secure a conviction against the one and only El Chapo. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Carrell's, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, Carrell's perspective is from years of being a senior leader on the United States Border Patrol, and he's using his experience to articulate what he calls disastrous situation at the border, and intentionally so. We'll get to that, guys. But for now, guys, here's my guest, JJ Carroll. Is it Carroll or Carrell?
Yep. Nope, you're correct. It's JJ Carroll. Thanks for having me on, Tommy. I'm really excited about having this platform, the podcast platform, to talk about something I believe is the number one threat facing our republic.
Well, you say that you have a unique perspective on, quote, the intentional destruction of the American immigration system.
Yes,
that's
I do.
currently occurring presently. But first, before we dive into the substance of that headline, why don't you first give us a perspective on how to better understand border security in general? What's the importance and the role of border security, as if you're teaching a third grader, because you might be with me.
Okay. Well, you cannot be a nation if you don't have sovereign borders. It's just that simple. You have to know who and what comes through your border. Now, before we start this conversation, I need to make it very clear that we're talking about illegal immigration. We're not talking about legal immigration. I am all for legal immigration. The naturalization of foreign nationals into being citizens in the United States is the greatest thing about our country. To bring people in from all across the world, and they swear an oath to be Americans, and they cry when they swear that oath. I'm not talking about that. I love that. I want more of that. What I'm talking about is Joe Biden and his administration through the DHS and Mayorkas has arrested and released up to 7 million people within his first 30 months in office. There's no way that's sustainable right now. I project all the data says that it's going to continue. By the end of his 4th year in office, there'll be over 10 million people arrested and released into America. That's why I say this is an intentional destruction of the American immigration system in the book that I wrote called Invaded.
Okay, so you just wrote a book called Invaded, and I know that we have a lot of conversations about the border. We've been having conversations about the border since probably the beginning, of course, but mostly currently the last 20 years, it's gone pretty much volatile and polarized because of the people, the DACA people. There are people going over the border having kids, and then their kids become citizens. And Trump, of course, said that coming over the border are, what did he say?
Rapists and murderers.
So, do you agree with Trump's perspective on what is coming out of the border?
100%. 100%. Tommy, I worked at Tijuana border for 10 years. My first 10 years in the Border Patrol. I ran ATV units down there. It's the most violent time you could ever imagine. And every single person that I was arresting was a prior criminal felon in the United States of America. I know it's hard to believe, but everyone that comes from state and local and federal prisons on the West Coast would be collected by the old INS, Immigration Naturalization Service, which is now CBP, and driven down to the border and dropped off at Tijuana, deported through Tijuana. So that's all that I arrested were murder and rapists. So when everybody lost their mind when Trump said that, I was sitting there thinking, dear God, that's the truth. People just don't know because they've been told otherwise over and over again. So when you look at what's happening today, Tommy, I mean, let me give you an example of how unique this is. Okay, so my first 23 years in the Border Patrol was under Bill Clinton, Bush, Obama, then Trump, and my last year was under Biden. My first 23 years of my 24-year career, everybody I arrested over thousands and thousands of people on the border directly or indirectly as a supervisor and signed the casework to release. We released and this goes across the Border Patrol, but in my career, over the thousands, I released 0 people into America. 0. Now, because of these bastardization of the policies and laws under Biden and Mayorkas, they have released almost 7 million people. Now, I'm just talking about the individuals that have been arrested. I'm not talking about millions upon millions that have crossed the border undetected and absconded. We call them getaways. Because right now, if you can imagine the United States of America with all our adversaries and all of the vulnerabilities, there are hundreds of miles right now as we speak where there's not one Border Patrol agent patrolling. They're all doing administrative paperwork of processing and then releasing millions and millions
But
of illegal
JJ,
aliens.
I thought there was a wall though. Is there not a wall there? What happened
Well,
to the wall?
there's a third of the wall was done. Well, let me give you an example. I'm real big on data because I don't believe statistics lie. They just are what they are, especially in the business that I'm in, right?
Agree.
So let's say at the end of my career, Trump's end of his term, I would get what's called 24-hour reports every day. And this is arrest throughout the nation, the northern border, southern border, both coastlines. President Trump, through his actions, almost had the border completely secure. We were arresting between 150 and 450 people a day. That's nothing. That's like a drop in the bucket. I mean, that's zero. The day Biden takes office, we are over 5,500 arrests a day with 4,000 getaways. His first day, Tommy, and it has not stopped.
So that's a statement where I have to figure out, like, so was there a motivator that January 20th of Biden's inauguration, it was a free-for-all and everybody knew it?
Yes.
Because what I seem to remember is there was a surge of the border and then there were people and kids in cages. There was facilities.
I love the kids in cages. I love that. That's such a lie with AOC crying. You know, she was looking at a parking lot, right? She wasn't looking at cages. She was looking through a chain link fence at an empty parking lot. And she was
saying
crying.
there were no border facilities where children were being held.
Oh, absolutely there
were. But there was
absolutely.
Right. So.
Okay, but let's go back to what you're saying.
Yeah.
So there were caravans orchestrated to move. There were tens of thousands of people who moved up. Trump shut it down because he forced the Northern Triangle countries and Mexico to stand up their military and border patrol to stop it, or he was going to withhold financial aid or foreign aid. They did it because they bent the knee to him like they should, because we're America. We have sovereignty and rules.
Wait, who did he withhold financial aid from?
He called down, it's called the Northern Triangle, Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador, and Mexico. And he said, please, and please never take what anyone says as truth. I want everyone to fact check me.
Yeah.
In my book, Invaded, I have a whole tens of pages of footnotes. So I encourage everyone to fact check everything I say because I'm telling you the truth. Now, what he did is he went down there. He through ambassadors and said, and he did this on TV, you will stand up your military, your border patrol, and you will shut this down instead of allowing people just to pour in and then crossing our border. If you don't, I'm going to withhold federal aid. And this is what they were so used to. They were so used to dealing with corrupt, incompetent presidents. They laughed and they said, no, I'm not doing it. It took him one day. He goes, okay, all foreign aid shut down. And those nations without our money are just third world nations. They're going to crumble. So they all hep to and said, yes, sir. And they put their military in border. And guess what? It shut it down. And then what he did is he instituted Title 42, which I don't believe we have to do. We're the United States of America. You can't come in. And then it shut everything down. But Biden came in, removed all of it, went in partnership. We have Secretary Mayorkas creating migrant camps in Panama to help facilitate the flow of illegal aliens. They're proposing, you and I talked just briefly offline about how our government doesn't take care of Americans. They're asking for billions with a B, Tommy, to build temporary housing for illegal aliens in America so they don't have to find rent or pay anything. Now, what happened to billions of dollars for Americans they're on hard times, that are homeless?
I've been trying to figure that out forever.
Yes, but right now I'm telling you that our social services are in absolute chaos. They're being destroyed. And this is just not me. We have Democrat mayors in New York City under Adams, Bowser. I would say Mr. Adams and Miss Bowser, I have about zero in common with those individuals. But guess what they sound? If you took their quotes and you paired them next to mine, it sounds like I'm speaking. They're all saying we can't take not one more illegal alien because our services are destroyed. This is New York City. New York City has less than 95,000 illegal aliens. That is less. That's a fraction of 1% of their total population, 8.5 million. And yet they've destroyed their system. Tommy, do you know?
I have to push back and I have to say disagree with the fact that the illegal aliens themselves destroyed the system. There was already a system that was fragile to begin with. There's income inequality in this country not seen since the Gilded Age. There's absolute poverty and homelessness that we have.
Okay, let's say I agree, and I do, and I agree.
No.
Let's say I totally agree with you. I'm not real big on income inequality and all that, but let's say I do, Tommy.
Okay.
Then that proves my point. Why would you use all of your finite resources to take care of illegal aliens and just crap all over U.S. citizens? Let me give you an example, Tommy. Right before this invasion under Biden, they were at 100% capacity in the homeless shelters, right? Everybody knows this. New York City, you just said it, was just on the brink.
Correct.
So now, Tommy, it was 100% U.S. citizens and residents. Now, Tommy, over 50% of all homeless shelters are filled with illegal aliens. So, Tommy, what happened to the other 50% of Americans that were there? They're out on the street. Do you know that 50% of all the hotels in New York City are used to house illegal aliens? That's a fact. Half the hotels. If you need to fact check me right now, fact check me.
I don't dispute any of your facts, but I do.
Tommy, they're getting 3 meals a day. They're washing their clothes. They have cable TV. They have extra money. Why are U.S. citizens second-class citizens to foreign nationals? Can anybody answer that to me?
I think the answer is that we are all part of a one world government where they don't care about any of us, whether it be the illegal immigrants or the citizens, because we're nothing but taxpayer dollars and votes. We're nothing but cattle, and so are they. And so this is the only thing. I don't dispute any of your facts, JJ, but I do want to give the nuance that maybe it's not the illegal immigrants. Like, in your perspective, what are the main factors that drive individuals to attempt to cross illegally? What are the motivators?
I found that the vast majority motivation is economic.
Right. And so our country is literally experiencing, and you said you don't believe it, it's experiencing income inequality, which means the 1% own more wealth than the bottom 90% combined. And there's a huge class disparity. So when they're
No, Tommy, let me make sure that let me clarify that.
Okay.
That's a big term, income inequality. Now, when you're telling me that certain groups have usurped power and money and the dollar's devalued and we're struggling, no, I believe that 100%. And I also believe that there's a one world government, as you said, and we're just cattle. I agree 100% on both parts.
And there's only one party. It's the Uniparty. It's
yes,
the party.
it is. Correct.
And you can tell you can tell who they care about whenever they legislate. $858 billion of the military spending budget, $500 billion to Ukraine. I'm probably being dramatic about that. But
nope, it's over 150 billion.
What they care about are their campaign finance donors.
Yes.
What they care about are their corporate interests to fund them so that they can stay in office forever and ever, just like all of our dementia-riddled Congress people who literally don't even know where they are, but they vote aye. So this is all happening. But at the same time, these illegal border people are crossing because they think it's a better economy. I don't know if I agree that they think it's a better economy. I think JJ, and you can say if I'm wrong or not, but I think they're running for the cartels who have assumed power in their home countries and have literally, because of our drug war, have grown rich beyond all imagination. And now they've given an ultimatum to every peace-loving citizen who doesn't want to join a cartel: join us or die, which inevitably will become what the Democrats and Republicans say to us. 1984 has already said that. But so they're running for their lives because these if you don't join the cartel, you die. And the reason the cartels are so rich is because we have made drugs illegal. And so they've created a black market from which they can create ultimate wealth. And so this thing. So what do you think about that? What do you think about the drug war and that being a motivator for the cartels and that being a reason why we have so much illegal immigrant border crossing? What do you think about that?
Well, that you're asking me to unpack quite a bit there. So let's go back and just say that I disagree. I believe.
Okay.
I disagree on this point. They're coming because America is a land of milk and honey. I live this. I arrested these people by the thousands, had conversations with them as I'm driving to the station or sitting down the field waiting for my transport, just having conversations. Why are you coming? Dude, I just want to work and go home. Okay, I get it. I get it, brother. So they're coming to take what we have. Now, when you talk about the cartels, you need to understand that you're 100% right. The cartels own everything on that border. In fact, this has been said not only by myself, but just recently by RFK Jr., Mayor Adams, who I don't agree with anything. They're all said the same thing I'm saying. The cartels are controlling and own our U.S. immigration system. They determine who crosses and when they cross.
Right.
And I believe that the cartels are making, now they have switched over to human trafficking because it is a multi-billion-dollar a year business, and they control who crosses and where and when, because when they do that, Tommy, all of our resources that we don't have any of because they're all processing aliens runs to help this large group of 1,000 African migrants that come across. And Tommy, now they push all their hard narcotics, all of them. And let me give you an example. You can draw a direct line from the open borders to the overdose deaths. When Trump left office, it was 50,000 overdose deaths a day by drugs, hard narcotics, cocaine, heroin, fentanyl. Since Joe Biden has taken office in 2 years, it went to 107,000. And we are now in his third year careening to 150,000. There's a direct line because it's wide open borders and tons of narcotics are pouring through. Right now, because I ran stations that did this, we call it highway interdiction, where we're just picking out the dope loads and human smuggling interactions that are going up and down the interstates in California. They don't patrol the streets anymore, Tommy, because they're picking up aliens by the thousands and driving to processing soft-sided facilities, processing and releasing them. There's nobody protecting our borders right now. No one. For drugs, terrorists, criminals, illegals, everything.
So those changes, because I know that Title 42, that was something Joe Biden just recently did away with. He actually kept a policy, which was started by Trump during his administration. Joe Biden kept a lot of policies that had to do with border security.
No,
I
disagree.
So could you educate me on exactly which of the policies that Joe Biden...
He got rid of every policy, and then he fought for almost, what was it,
and
over 2 years?
When was this?
When was this?
Was
Immediately.
this an executive order? But he was inaugurated.
Yes.
But JJ, he was
All
inaugurated.
his executive orders.
Yes, but...
All of his executive orders got rid of all the...
order his first day. He didn't do an executive order his first day. He was too busy dancing with Jill.
No, he did it his first day. He absolutely did. He signed over 100 and something executive orders.
It was a horrible looking dress. They were dancing at the Capitol. But he didn't sign an executive order January 20th. So what executive order?
Maybe January 21st. Maybe January 21st he signed more executive orders than all the presidents combined in like his first week. So when you tell me,
you know the specific executive order that I can look into?
No, I don't know the number. I'd have to look that up, but I know it happened. And he did not keep Title 42. He fought it all the way until the courts allowed him to get rid of it. That's a fact. He fought it every single day. Why would you do that? Why would you fight something that works and keeps illegal aliens? Now, I'm not a big guy on Title 42. I believe we're the United States of America. I don't need some title to tell me I have sovereignty. If I got an invasion coming to my country, I stop it because I'm America and we have sovereignty and we have rules and law. But we don't anymore. It's complete chaos. And Tommy, I'd like to just ask you this question because we can dance around. And I love this conversation. Number one, I like being challenged and I like having a broader conversation. But we ultimately got to come down to the brass tacks. How many people are we going to decide that we're going to allow into our country? And this is the question I have with liberals, this discussion. I've had it over and over and over, and I detail it in my book. And it's real quick, and I just want to go through it with you. So when someone finds out that I'm a former Border Patrol agent, they go right into all the questions. And I go, okay, I'll talk to you about it. And then they start talking about the fence is racist, and this is racist, and this is xenophobe. And I say, okay, just stop. There's 2 billion people that live in this world out of the 8 billion that live in misery and poverty that we can't fathom. right? Do we agree on that?
I
There's 2
missed. I
billion.
missed it. I missed it. Sorry, I was kicked off or whatever.
It's okay. I see you, but you're freezing right now.
Just when we were
picture.
having a conversation.
No, it's all right. You just
Sorry,
I can see me.
I completely missed your question because all that.
Okay.
So you were asking
All
me a
right.
question. Sorry.
Okay. So I'm saying, Tommy, that we got to get down the brass tacks of what is the number of people that we're going to allow to come into our country illegally. Is it 10 million? We've already passed that. Is it 20? Is it 100? This was asked to Mayorkas in a congressional hearing. He refused to answer it. So let me just tell you this conversation that I have with people on the left and sometimes on the right as well. And I asked them, we have 8 billion people on planet Earth. 4 billion live in poverty. 2 billion live in extreme poverty and misery we can't even fathom. And let's just say those 2 billion people are coming. They're all coming to America. I'm going to give you the rule of being a king. Tell me how many of those 2 billion you want to allow into our country. And the leftists never answer, and they hem and haw. And I say, are you going to do 2 billion? And they're like, no, of course not. I can't. That's 6 times the population of America. Okay, then give me a number. Let's talk. Okay, we always get to this number 20 million, right? I don't know why, but it always ends up 20 million. Then my follow-up question is, okay, I just let in 20 million. What are you going to do to stop the 1.98 billion? And there's never an answer. And I always say, you have to build a wall. You have to have organized legal immigration, don't you? And they say yes. And I say, my last question, and it never goes well, is I say, why is your fence and the way that you structure immigration moral for 20 million, but I'm immoral because I want to have order and not allow any of them in that come illegally? And they never can answer the question, because it ultimately comes down to, Tommy, do we have a nation of sovereign borders or we don't? It's really that simple. I see a complete demographic change in America. And I'm not talking about race or ethnicity. I'm talking about citizens versus non-citizens. And you pointed it out in a global order. They're going to bring in tens of millions of non-citizens because they have no idea about the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. They don't understand Second Amendment. Hell, Tommy, half of these people coming into our nation are illiterate in their own language. That's a fact. Illiterate.
But why do they need to bring all these people in when we have iPhones, Facebook, television, and jelly beans? We have all these distractions that people don't care about the cost. Okay, so a lot of people bring, on your right side, because my mom and my dad, they're right wingers, and they brought me up with the stand for the flag and all those values and stuff like that. I have respect for those principles and values, and I chose to educate myself and to learn and grow and find my own ideology and philosophies and stuff like that. But a lot of people are not that curious. Did you notice that? And it's not any reason but their own fault. Their fault. There's more and more distractions going on, and all of our pillars and institutions have literally they write for the powerful. They were supposed to hold the powerful accountable. Now they literally write the narratives for the powerful. So the FBI was literally supposed to safeguard the federal law, and now they're literally corrupt and they're undermining the executive branch. Our checks and balances have all but deteriorated.
Yes.
Habeas corpus, we let them take it away. The Patriot Act is continuously being renewed, giving us half the rights that we had in the Constitution. So all of these things have precipitated us to the liberty slowly slipping away. The slippery slope that you right wingers always talk about has already been happening. Our democracy has already been stolen from us. And so we literally have no voice. We're literally, like I said, just taxpayers, and we're votes. And they literally think we're so dumb that they can feed us all this propaganda.
Yes.
And guess what, JJ? How do I know it works? Because 2021, Joseph Elizabeth Biden, the dementia-riddled Dixiecrat, the most racist Democrat
ever.
It's funny. They said Trump was racist. Then they went out and literally got the most racist Democrat in the entire fucking party to be.
Yep.
And they said anybody. But so, like, do you understand that we're living in idiocracy? So why do they need to fucking bring in more cow chewing, unintellectual work labor force? Because we're literally it. We're literally it, JJ. So why do they need to bring anybody else in?
I agree with everything you just said. I believe that the pillars of our institution, I believe that every institution in American government is corrupt to the core, morally bankrupt. I believe all that. I believe that they are bringing in people to fundamentally transform America. I absolutely believe that
but
by the
why,
tens of
though?
millions.
They've
But
already
why?
done it. Yeah, because they've already done it.
Because there's still a faction of us. You and I may not align on where we sit on side of the aisle, but damn it, Tommy, you and I align perfectly about what's the three branches of government. You and I could have an honest discussion about income inequality, racism, affirmative action, something. We could find some common ground.
Anything.
But we could. But
they're not
you and
I,
yes, but you and I will never fight each other to kill our Constitution, kill our Bill of Rights, kill our founding fathers' ideals. But these yahoos coming in that have no idea. They think we're a democracy. We're a republic. We have U.S. citizens that don't know that we're a republic. They keep talking about democracy. They want as many people that they can control as possible. But there are still tens of millions of me and you that will not. We know what our Bill of Rights is. We understand what the Constitution allows us. But I completely believe, that the America that we live in today is nowhere near where it should be or where it was. We live in America today filled with ignorant, willfully, and at times purposely ignorant U.S. citizens that have no idea what's going on. Absolutely no idea. And they have usurped, the elites and the politicians have taken all of our liberties without one bullet being shot. Right. I mean, you and I can have a discussion about COVID and everything that's going on. They took all of our liberties.
I also want to know why you guys care about the Second Amendment so much, because literally, look what they've done already. You think they really care about the
Second Amendment? That's the only thing. That's the only thing keeping us from being completely overrun and taken. Because they're scared.
You just said all of this stuff, and now, and then you still think that are the guns? I keep saying they've already done it, but I don't get it. Okay.
Okay, but no. I don't. The Second Amendment has been watered down because we allowed it. The Second Amendment was to hold the authoritarian, tyrannical government at bay. I'm a law enforcement officer, so I can carry wherever I want. So I'm immune. However, if I want to carry a gun, I don't need a permit. I don't need a concealed carry permit. It doesn't say that in the Constitution. It says I have the right to bear arms. So I can bear arms. We have allowed, you and I can have these disagreements, but the agreement that I think that we're having is that we have given away all of our rights because we're ignorant, lazy, and we're afraid. Everyone's afraid. I write a book and I get called dirty names and I say, hey, tell me what in my book is factually incorrect. You may not like the way I gel my hair or the way that I talk, but what I wrote is true. You don't have to like the truth, but you can't demonize me for speaking it. At least I have the balls to tell you the truth. Everyone else is lying to you. You've allowed when Biden leaves office in a year and change, he will have allowed in 20 to 25 million illegal aliens into our country. That's insane. At 2018, MIT and Yale did a study and ran an algorithm 1 million times and found, yes, the median of illegal aliens in 2018 was 22 million. So let's take 22 million, as everyone said, yeah, okay, MIT, Yale, I think it's still conservative, but let's do 22 million and let's add 25 more million. It's 47 million. Now we're about, what are we at now? About 15% of our population? How do you think that's going to do?
I mean, how do you think that we're going to do? We are going to be on days and we can't. We're working jobs where we can't even afford to pay the rent. The rent is going up. Foreign companies have literally taken neighborhoods and gentrified them and where to live. So, how? Again, like the only difference I'm seeing is that I feel like there's a lot of anger towards the illegals and not enough towards the people that are doing this.
Oh no! In my book, Invaded, I come straight out and I shoot between. I don't hide anything. I say it in my book. I have a whole chapter on Mayorkas. I have a whole chapter on the presidents and how they bastardize our system. I call them out exactly how they are. I'm unafraid. I want the illegals out of my country. I want to stop the illegal aliens from coming in. Now, if we come together as a nation and we say, hey, we need 30 million people more to come in and work and stuff. All right, pass the law. But you won't pass the law because you know we don't need 30 million. And you know you can't change the law because people lose their mind. Tommy, you just hit us something perfect. And I've been struggling with this today because it frustrates the hell out of me. How can the dollar be so worthless? If you would have told me, Tommy,
we didn't back it up by gold. We took it off the gold standard, and all of the countries around us are done with the petrodollar. They're done with us meddling in their affairs, and that's another thing. JJ, is there's another reason why people are flocking to our border. It's because we keep on taking our CIA, and we keep on destabilizing other countries' governments because of oil.
I agree.
So again, this is the reason why they're flocking over. It's like literally us doing it. It's our policies.
We're welcoming. We're telling them to come in. But again, I come down to the base.
What's another alternative? What would you tell what would you tell them to do anyway? Since even though we're overturning their governments, giving rebels arms and food trucks, literally, shooting kids and like framing other people. We're doing all kinds of nefarious shit for oil. In South America.
Well, what I would do, Tommy,
anyway, the people. What would you tell them to do?
Well, what I would do is I would shut the border down overnight, and then I would go. If I was president, I was in charge, and then I would start abolishing and removing everyone in the power positions throughout our agencies immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Immediately. So my whole thing is
hallelujah, JJ, hallelujah,
Tommy. But why can't we take care of our brothers and sisters in America? Why can't we make all of our decisions based on, is this good for America and her citizens? If it's not, we're not doing it. How about this, Tommy? We don't have enough homeless shelters. We can argue about why people are homeless or whatever. They're there. We have cities that are in decay. We have schools that do not work. We have people out of jobs. We have everything. However, nothing changes, and we keep sending trillions of dollars overseas. Look, you can't give me a border, but you can spend $150 billion in Ukraine. You could spend $2 trillion in Iraq and Afghanistan and Syria, but you can't build me a wall. Look, Tommy, I was down on that wall when they wouldn't build it. Those bastards wouldn't give nickels to keep me and my guys safe. I seen my friends get their heads caved in. We've been shot at, fights every day, knives, cuts all over our bodies, people maimed because those cowards and those traitors would not secure our border. So I take it very personal that our government is so corrupt, so immorally bankrupt. And Tommy, you and I haven't even discussed the drugs, the terrorists, the sexual deviancy, the abuse and rape of young kids in our country, all the way down from Mexico, all the way up to America, and then sex traffic in America. And we're allowing that to happen by the hundreds of thousands in our nation right now. We are morally bankrupt as a nation.
That was one of the questions on the live stream. What does he think of the movie with Jim Caviezel, Sound of Freedom?
Okay.
Shocking docudrama.
Thank you for.
What do you think of? Have you seen that movie?
I have. I went there. I went at night by myself as we put my son to sleep, and I sat there, and it was interesting because everything. Tim Ballard's a hero, right? So he's the agent, the special agent for DHS. He was a Homeland Security investigator, and the first two scenes is in San Ysidro Port of Entry, and then the side streets in Calexico. And I worked both of those areas extensively throughout my career. Everything they said is absolutely happening. And if you listen to the interviews after with Jim Caviezel and Tim Ballard, they just stated, Tim Ballard says it, and I'm going to almost quote him because he and I are almost, we say almost the exact same things. This administration under Biden and through Mayorkas has allowed the border to be completely wide open and therefore allows and facilitates the trafficking, sexual trafficking of kids and women. Tommy, let me give you a hard number. It's scary, okay? It's not even disputed. Even left-wing, I can name 10 left-wing organizations that come out with the same data. The only argument that they have is it 6 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 women and children coming up from Panama into Central America and Mexico? 6 or 8 out of 10 are raped, women and children. Raped or sexually abused. 60% to 80% of all women. All women. And we do nothing, Tommy. We do nothing. We are allowing this to happen. The sexual trafficking of young children is happening. Let me give you something that it's disgusting. So HHS is Health and Human Services. They're like a giant CPS in the state. They handle all the illegal alien children. So under Joe Biden, he has arrested over 400,000 children, from babies to toddlers to teenagers. We turn them over. Border Patrol turns them over to HHS, and they in turn turn it over to the ORR, the Office of Refugee Resettlement. They have lost almost 100,000 children, Tommy. They have no idea where they are and who they gave them to.
What's your evidence on that? What is your evidence
on that? Yeah. You know what? I'll give you a great link. Go to my YouTube site and look at my last video. I have all the stuff on there. My book has it all laid out. It's already been discussed. In fact, the liberal New York Times broke the story. The New York Times had a reporter. So liberal New York Times is saying this. They don't even dispute it. The congressmen and senators have had hearings on it. OOR, Javier Becerra, HHS, Mayorkas at DHS, they don't even dispute it. That's
they lost how many? They lost how many people? How many kids?
85,000. 85,000. Now listen.
And this is documented. This is documented.
This is documented. Documented. Now listen.
Yeah, I'm listening.
5,000 to 6,000 of these kids cross the border and are arrested every month. Every month. So this is not something that is stopping. It's increasing. You have tens of thousands of children. Tommy, you have documented cases of 14-year-old Guatemalans and Hondurans and Uzbekistanians working midnight shift in slaughterhouses in Nebraska. You have young teenagers working in trenches and ditches in construction sites that they can't. No labor laws are applied to these children. These children are all being sexually trafficked. Now, let me explain something to your audience. When you push over cocaine, heroin, you can only sell that one time, Tommy, meaning I go buy some cocaine, I either cook it up as crack or I snort it in my nose and it's done. But I can take a 5-year-old little boy.
Unless you're Hunter.
Yeah. Right. But I can take a 5-year-old boy and I can pass him around and pimp him out 5 times a night.
Jesus fucking Christ. Jesus.
Okay. Now let me give you an example because I want this known. This is a very disgusting and hard thing to talk about. But if I don't talk about it, people like Tim Ballard don't talk about it, then it's gonna exist in silence. Tom Homan, I put this in my book. Tom Homan was a former acting ICE director under Trump. He went down to Texas. And this is, now listen, This is happening every day. It's happening right now as you and I talk. This story I'm about to tell you, it happens every day. So this family from Nigeria, husband and wife, and their 20-year-old daughter crossed the Rio Grande in Texas. 20-year-old daughter, 20-month-year-old daughter drowns. Tragedy. Tom Homan goes with the sheriffs to the morgue. After the autopsy, they are determined that 20-month-old baby was sexually penetrated in every orifice of her body. And like Tom Homan said, who's a patriot, by the way, said, this is happening every day, all day. Every day, all day. You know what they have on the south side of the border, Tommy? And please fact check me on this as well, because I've seen it and I know it. They have things called rape trees.
Seen it. Jesus Christ.
Have you seen the rape trees?
How long were you on the border? If I saw a rape tree and I was in the border security, guess what? I would get another job. You were in there for how long? 24 years? You saw rape
24
trees?
years. Tommy, nothing bothers me.
You're made of some different shit than I am, bro.
Well, I'm going to tell you,
I saw a rape
I'm
tree
100
on my shift.
Yeah.
I would literally get the fuck out of there. So
I seen it. I don't get. I'm so desensitized, and I don't know if that's. Well, I do know. I know that's not good, right? I know, but I had to become desensitized in the world that I lived in. However, nothing shakes me to my core than children being destroyed sexually. It kills me.
So what would be better? What would be better if you guys literally got the documentation of all these 85? You said the New York Times article, okay? But see, the thing is that you guys were already talking about kids with the QAnon and how Hillary likes to drink their blood and stuff like that. Then
I never said that.
No, I'm just saying. No, I'm not. You didn't say that, but the right wing said it, and the right you know, and we're grouped up in this country. Remember, so we have to be grouped up because we can't think individually. Because if we start to think,
I'm not grouped up.
We start having. Well, I'm just saying that you guys like to talk about this stuff, and when you do talk about it, and it's important, people remember that Hillary drank baby's blood, and it kind of defeats the message.
Okay, Tommy, I have no idea.
I have a question. So, do you think this whole QAnon thing was to?
Okay, hold on. Before I'll answer anything you want, But I want to make sure that you Okay, but let me just make this statement.
Yeah.
It's a question as well.
I don't think you're crazy.
Are you doubting me? Wait a minute.
No.
I need to make sure, because in order to go forward with this conversation, and I want to go forward, are you doubting that everything that I just said? Now I talk about 85 to 100,000 children being sex trafficked and labor trafficked. It's already detailed. Everybody knows it. It's not a hidden secret. That's a fact. That's not what everything you and I talk about, Tommy, is not my beliefs and my feelings. This is documented fact. Okay?
So, I understand, but I haven't seen any of the documents at this moment. We're just having a conversation. So at this moment, I'm taking you on your word at face value. You're a very honorable person. However, I don't have the data to look at myself, and I can't make any decision, JJ, without looking at it myself. It's just me. I need the data myself to make a decision. But I don't think you're being dishonest. I don't think you're lying. I believe what you're saying, and you believe it's true. But I can't make any decision on whether it's real or accurate or not unless I see the data. Because I'm a free.
Do me a favor, when you get off this podcast, please just put in Google 85,000 lost kids by HHS, and then watch it cascade down, and watch all of the horror stories that come from that.
I'm Googling it. What am I Googling? Because I'm going to Google it.
All you have to type in
it's important to you, so I will.
No, type in HHS losing 85,000 migrant children, and just watch it cascade down. You can click on any video. HHS, ORR, Mayorkas, on and on and on. And they all sit there with that dumb look on their face, and they will not answer the question because they know it's true. And it's already been documented. Whistleblowers from HHS have already come out and said, yes, we have no idea. That's a drop in the bucket. We have no idea where any of these kids are. We're just releasing them to people. And we don't know who the people are.
Okay.
We're running a sex trafficking in the United States of America. and it makes people very uncomfortable.
It definitely makes me uncomfortable. And I mean, if this is true, then this is tragic, and we need to fix it. But I feel what I want to do is I want to help you try to convince more people. And I feel like this is my question: is that
Okay, ask me your question.
the right wing in their entirety have literally placed their, and this is not about you. I'm not labeling you as anything, but this is how it
Okay.
is. This is the perspective, and this is why left wingers find it hard to believe you when you say things like that. Is because the left wing, the right wing has had carte blanche. They've had name recognition on the phrase family values. Family values is a right wing. It's a bullet point, right? So that means that you are always talking about the children, and you're responsible for the children. Only people that can raise families, because not you, but the right wing.
I understand. I understand what you're saying.
The right wing decided that gay people couldn't, have children. They couldn't get married. They couldn't have other rights. They're the only ones that could have rights. Then the right wing decided that we're going to make up a story where Hillary Clinton drank the blood of children because they're the guardians of children. Hillary's the enemy. So therefore, do you understand my point? So the right wing always champions the children. Always champions the children because you guys are family values. So this is like the fifth story where there's children. And so now we feel like it's kind of like you guys are just going off about children again. Because y'all
All
are
right,
like,
let me just tell you, Tommy.
I'm just trying to give you perspective of what the left is thinking.
That's fine.
When you say this.
Listen,
that's all. I'm not saying I don't believe.
If you go to my Substack page, you go to my website, you go to my YouTube channel, which I just started, you get my book, Invaded. I just lay it out. Brother. And I say, this is happening. Here are my notations. If you doubt me, just go click.
Where can you find your book, JJ? Where's their book?
My book, at Amazon.com, but you can go to jjcarrell.com and it has everything on there, and it has links to take you to it. Or you can go to YouTube at JJ Carrell, and I just started posting videos on there. And one of my videos is just about that. Well, it's going out tomorrow on the sex trafficking, and it has videos and links all to it. It's everything we're talking about. And one thing that I'm very
for sure.
Okay, I appreciate it. One of my things that I am adamant about when I talk about things, I write about it or I post videos, I am not going to ever embellish. I'm not going to do anything for more dramatic effect because, Tommy, I don't have to. The abuses that are happening in the immigration world, in our government, are so in your face. The numbers are so outrageous. I don't have to embellish to convict what our government's done. I just have to point and say, okay, you think the border's secure? I'm telling you, 7 million people cross the border, 256,000 every month. How the hell is that secure? And no one can answer me, right?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
If you weren't finished, I didn't want. No,
I'm done.
you were making a point. No, before we go, I just wanted to get to the last piece of meat. The intentional destruction of the American immigration system. You think the Biden administration is nefariously doing this intentionally? And so
I absolutely believe that.
Could you explain that? Could you explain that to
Yes.
me? Thank you.
So we're looking at the fundamental transformation of America through the immigration system. You're seeing this happen throughout the Western nations in Europe as well. I always argue this point that the complexities of the border and immigration is so complex and so layered, and it's done on purpose, that people think the reason why has to mirror the complexities of the problem, and it's not. I'll give you an example. 99% of the people that come across the border illegally, when they get amnesty or they're allowed to vote in general elections, vote 99% Democrat. So the Democrats want the votes. The Republicans play along. They try to do, I'm a border security guy, but they all play along, right? At the end, they all play along because the Chamber of Commerce owns them and they want cheap labor. And the Chamber of Commerce every single day beats the drum for more amnesty and legal immigration. So this is about power and wealth. They both want both of them. The Democrats more for the power, the Republicans because they're businesses, they want cheap labor. That's why. And we can talk about how they get that, but it's very simple. We want to destroy America because I want more wealth and I want more power. That's it. You follow the money. Remember that great line, follow the money? Follow the money. That's all it's about. And they don't care about us. They crap all over us. You look at the inner cities of Chicago and New York and Philadelphia. Chicago just spent $51 million for 10,000 illegal aliens while they're in complete chaos in Chicago. And the black African-American residents are losing their mind, and rightfully so. Why would you give $51 million to illegal aliens when my brothers and sisters are homeless? They're drug addicts. Our schools are failing.
Are you lobbying any policies that have to do with border security with any Republican or Democratic representatives right now?
No,
are
I'm
you
not.
Are you trying to advise
not,
them right now on anything?
No, no. I find a handful of them to be honest, and the rest of them are. Here, let me give you an example. What did they all run on in 2022? All the House and Senate. What did they run on? All of them. The very first one, I'm going to impeach Mayorkas. They have not impeached him. That's 2022. We're going into 2024 in about 5 months. And you're telling me that they're on the up and up? It's a uniparty. And I'm calling them out as well as the Democrats. I find them to be as repulsive and anti-American and corrupt as the Democrats. Absolutely.
I tell you what's funny is that we literally are thinking about these things completely different ways. And I wonder sometimes how you guys get there. But for some reason, we both agree on literally the conclusion of it. It's crazy.
Of
right?
everything. It is crazy. Right? But it just shows you how tight Americans truly are in their thinking, and the media and the politicians try to act like we're enemies and we can't talk. We can talk. I don't have to agree with you 100%. Hell, I don't agree with anybody 100%. And I'm not right all the time. But damn it, when I tell you this is what's happening, I may not be able to articulate the war in Ukraine the way it needs to be done, or same-sex marriage. But when it comes to immigration, I'm the expert. I learn. I lived it. This is my life. So I can defer to people on the Ukraine, defer to them on the dollar. But when it comes to immigration, I'm not deferring to anybody about it. And I will not backtrack anything I wrote in my book. It's down there in black and white, and I will not pull back on it. That's how I am.
JJ, you're super. I'm glad to meet you. I think that you're probably going to be on the show again because I'm going to get your insight on all of it. I like you, bro.
All right.
I like you, bro.
I like you too.
Like I said, you're made of shit that I'm not. And I need that. I need that because I don't want to ever look at rape trees. You can do that.
It's not fun, Tommy.
I know it's not. It doesn't seem like it, guys.
We're allowing destruction of people's lives that will never, ever be back to normal again. And we own that as Americans. And it is sad. But I appreciate the time to allow me to, you don't agree with me completely, but you allow me the time to speak my mind. And that is powerful. So thank you very much.
Well, thanks for being on the show. I really appreciate the key points. And I'm really grateful that you took the time to put your insights out there. Because I really do I really do respect your experience and your perspective. So, guys, catch the JJ Carrell Substack.com. Check it out, Border Truth. And he has a new book, Invaded. That's correct?
Yes.
It is. On Amazon.
Yes.
And, guys, y'all, always, when you're on the Tommy Nation Politics Tuesday live stream, make sure you're free thinking, innovative, and open-minded. This was Tommy Nation Politics. We'll see you next Tuesday. Tommy Nation Politics.